It's a Tuesday edition here on Zero Block 30, and today we have 6 rounds in the magazine. Round number 1, it's already up time to update the old safety brief because a man was hit with some FOD. Kate, what does FOD mean in aircraft terms? You're on mute, Kate. Thank you very much. So we're going to...
Fickle ordnance display.
That's right. Fickle ordnance display is what it is. Kate is off mute now. Somebody got hit with some FOD that you don't want to be hit with. We're going to talk about that in round number 1. Round number 2, our hippos people. Yes. Round number 3, we're going to get into the Alec Baldwin nightmare scenario that happened over the past weekend last week. It's an awful situation. We're going to try to break it down, give you some of our thoughts on that as well. Round number 4, we have another I wish a motherfucker would moment, and this time it goes out to a Marine who got out of the Marine Corps. He's still living in Yuma, Arizona. He had that moment that we are all clamoring to have, and he performed gallantly, and then went on a bunch of news places and said that Epstein didn't kill himself, which was pretty funny. And round number 5, we have some new consequences that dropped like a shoe release in the Marine Corps. They're ready to slap some dicks or some flaps if you don't get vaccinated. They announced through a new MAR admin what those punishments were going to be. We're going to go through it and give you a little updated tracker. And I have a theory on these punishments that are coming down that I want to share with you as well.
Ooh.
Finally, round number 6. You know, you've been waiting for us to hear about this topic. The King of Spain. That motherfucker is horny. His dick is standing up all over the place like he injected it with some Black Rifle coffee, which I don't recommend, but you can do it. Black Rifle Coffee is the presenting partner of the show. Make sure that you're going there, blackriflecoffee.com, into the promo code 0, and you're going to get a little bit of a discount there so you can get your coffee of the month program. I have some sitting right behind me. Can you see it right behind me? No, my microphone's in the way. There we go. I have all kinds of Black Rifle coffee. They have the ones that come in a can. So if you don't even want to brew it, you don't have to do that. You could just have it shipped to your house. Get that going. blackriflecoffee.com with the promo code 0. They are having some delicious coffee, whether you're getting it. Go ahead, Kate.
I got the cans and we have them here in the fridge at work. And I think I've said this before, but I always forget my breast milk ice pack. And every day when I leave, I grab a couple. I'm like, it's to keep my breast milk cold, but I'm actually just taking them home and drinking them. They're delicious.
You know you're allowed to take those, right? Like,
I
you
know.
don't have to sneak it.
I know, but I look like a shyster at the end of the day, putting them in my pack. Like, you know, you don't take office food. You don't like shove your bag with snacks. But I'm. Do
you have a blender, Kate?
Yes.
So what I would recommend, get a little bit of Greek yogurt, some ice chunks, and one of those Black Rifle coffees that make your own little frappuccino action at your house.
Oh,
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Have a little bit of that.
This would require you to not put any beets in it, though.
Yeah, no beets.
No beets.
You could sneak a couple beets in. I think because if you have Greek yogurt and coffee, you might be. We used to do that with our kids. McCartney was awful at eating any type of vegetable whatsoever, so we would sneak it in and either do like mashed potatoes and put some carrots in there so they can't really tell, or cauliflower or something, like just to make the eating. And it really doesn't matter. I think you could feed kids gasoline and they will be fine as long as it has calories in it. They're gonna
I think calories is the most important thing as opposed to the vitamins and what have you at that age.
I would be interested to see if they could run a simulation like that, like just because science is so advanced now. Like, okay, we're going to take Cash, for example. Let's have Cash. We have one version of Cash where he only gets like breast milk and vegetables and all that stuff. And then another Cash that once he turns like 9 months old, all he eats is Pop-Tarts. And then you have like assimilated for 3 years, which kid ends up better? Like, is Cash that eat Pop-Tarts going to be completely bald by the time he's 4? I don't know.
If you're out there and you have twins, can you please do us a favor? Make one of them a junk food twin, the other a healthy twin.
So speaking of twins, I saw some conjoined twins on TikTok today, and it was a baby, and it had 2 faces. The baby had 2 faces,
and it was a doll.
It was legitimately jarring, right? You saw the same one. It was
a doll. Yes, there's. What is happening with our TikTok algorithm? That we're getting all the fake doll moms?
That, like, immediately when I saw this conjoined baby, I was like, is because one of the babies has its eyes open, the other one's closed. I was like, is that half a baby dead? Like, is that
well, that's fun.
Half a dead baby? Anyways, Kate went to Bye Bye Baby this weekend and tried to take a shit, and that didn't go well. Kate, explain.
Can I? This is one of those things that I'm going full Karen on, and that I didn't care about until it mattered to me. So shame on me.
Why would you care before though? Those qualifiers. I understand because I do it too. Like before I had this, I didn't care. Why would you? There's so many things that, like the situation of whatever happens at West Point, I don't give a fuck. Like it doesn't affect me.
Before I owned a home, I didn't care about mortgage rates.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, so
thanks, Cross Country Mortgage.
It's really intimidating. Before the baby, like I was very independent and I liked doing everything by myself, like long biking trips, hiking trips, weekends away. Like I did it all by myself.
Even to the point where you're at a detriment stuck on the side of a mountain. That's ice.
Yes.
True.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
But like I like being independent and doing stuff on my own. And now having a baby obviously changes that a lot because it's really intimidating to go places by yourself with the baby. Because like a lot of the times it takes a team. Like if the baby has a blowout in the car seat, it sure does help to have two people dealing with it instead of just one kind of thing. So, but I finally, 7 months in, I'm finally going out and for like tiny little hikes with him and to the store. I finally took him to the grocery store the other day. My heart was pounding. I was sweating. I was like, I don't know if we're going to make it through. But finally, I figured too, another good place to go. I needed to pick up some baby stuff. I'm like, Bye Bye Baby will have, if there's any store that I'll be able to stroller him into the bathroom and like into my stall so I don't have to leave him outside or a place where I can breastfeed him, whatever, it should be.
You would leave him in
baby.
the car? Wait, I was confused there. You gonna leave him in the car by himself?
No, never. No, what I'm saying is in the bathrooms, every place I've gone where I've had to go to the bathroom, you can't fit a stroller in, or you can get the stroller in the bathroom, but they can't fit in the stall. And then you're stuck saying, do I leave my baby out here with strangers, or do I try and hold him like a football and get piss all over my tights while I use one arm to try and do all this stuff? And the baby's wiggling and crying and whatever. And that's the choice you're faced with. Do I leave my baby with strangers, or do I cover myself?
Which is why you've been going with diapers, right?
Which is what, I started wearing diapers now. I wear, it depends. But so I
whole squads of diapers.
But it's like really stressful. There's been a couple of places where I've left early after having just gotten there, because I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom and I cannot leave him outside right now. Like I don't know what to do. So I'm like, Bye Bye Baby. It's a fucking baby store. It's a giant corporation that gets all their money from moms like me. So you'd think they'd have the common courtesy to have, like, I hear how
extra
boring
large
I am.
stalls.
But like to have extra large stalls, to have clean bathrooms, to have whatever. First, I grab the stuff I need. The line is so long and it's full of stressed out, frazzled moms with babies screaming. There's only two. It's a weekend day. There's only 2 cashiers in the thing. There's no other employees anywhere in the store. Everyone's screaming. I leave the line. I'm like, I can't wait in this line. I put the stuff back. I'm like, fuck it. At least let me just run to the bathroom real quick. I go to take him to the bathroom. Can't even get the stroller into the bathroom itself. And I finally wedge it in there. Now I'm blocking the other moms trying to go. He can't fit in the stall. I'm like, I'm not shutting this door and leaving him on the other side of it.
A veteran.
I am a military member being disrespected. Supervisor.
That's rude.
But no, so I end up, I'm like, fuck it. I don't care. There's a teenage girl washing her hands at the sink. I'm like, sorry, I leave the door cracked open enough that I can see the baby and I can see her too, unfortunately, but I'm like taking a piss with the door open. And Bye Bye Baby. These places are taking our money, but they do not give a fuck. I'm like, I'm so mad. But the zoo, so I took him to the zoo over the weekend too. And the zoo is like big time moms, people taking their kids there by themselves so that their other partner, it's like a place you take your kids so your other partner can get some time to themselves, whatever.
It's also a spot where you go when you're recently divorced and you like you have visitation with your kids.
Yeah, you take them to the, so a lot of parents are alone. It's just them and their kid or whatever. So you'd think the zoo would have a better setup for bathrooms too. No, it was the same thing. I ended up putting him under my arm like a football and pissing all over my tights. Like, what? Why are we putting up with this? Why are parents causing a fucking scene?
Don't you have one of those things where you wear the baby like a backpack?
Yes, but their legs are still dangling down at your crotch.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
You're gonna end up with a baby foot in the potty. You don't want that.
It's still really awkward, and I can't squat that well. My muscles have atrophied. I don't work out anymore. What the fuck? Anyway, I just want to say, all the parents ever before me, this was your job to fix before I had my baby. You let me down. I don't see why parents should put up with it. I think any place like that, you should fucking complain and be a total Karen and
use your voice
stink.
and create an app, Kate. I think that's what you got to do. You have to have map out in the city where can you use the restroom with the baby. I think you have to have those type of things on Yelp.
Fucking crazy.
Solution. Okay. And this is age dependent because at a certain age, you still need to provide support for the kid's head.
Yeah.
Cash is past that point, right? He can
yeah.
You don't need, so like you could put Cash on your shoulders, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You hold him, normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You hold him normal. You pull down your leggings or pants or what have you. You put Cash on your shoulders and then you sit down, one hand on his back, and then you're doing your business.
You're so close, Cons. You almost got it. What she's got to do is get one of those, not like a Bjorn, but the one that goes on your back, like the backpack.
Yeah.
And then approach the toilet AC Slater style and
Right.
sit on it backwards.
Sit on it like Uncle Jesse when he's about to teach a lesson to somebody.
So then
Right.
you could do all your wiping and Cash is just like looking over and he's got your back.
Yeah. I'm not going to let it go.
Figured that out. Well, who did let it go was our friend, the airline pilot, over some old fella's house, and it got disgusting. Kate, walk us through what happened in round one.
This is very much a Dave Matthews tour bus situation that happened here, it seems, lest we forget Chicago. So a man was enjoying the sun in his backyard in Windsor, Southeast England, when a passing plane dropped toilet waste over him and his garden furniture. The unfortunate incident in which a plane discharged sewage took place in July. His whole garden was splattered.
You do not expect this to happen in a place called the Royal Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead.
Never.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even, if you said, do people poop there? I would say absolutely not.
No, they don't fart either.
No.
They're not allowed.
No.
It's against the city
Little
bylaws.
square diamonds come out of their butts. His whole garden was splattered in a very unpleasant way, said Karen Davies, ward counselor.
Splattered when you use toilet
meeting.
juice is just a disgusting descriptor.
He was out in his garden at the time, and it was a really horrible experience, said a local lawmaker. The whole garden umbrellas, and him were covered in poop. It was absolutely dreadful.
I love that. That line is the only reason why I selected this story. Like, you go in, there is nothing else that's more absolutely dreadful than getting toilet water dropped on you from above. I mean, just having it splash you and touch you is so gross. I get having some, even though the toilet is technically clean because that's the reason why it's porcelain, fresh water, all that stuff. Even though it is technically clean, having a toilet water touch you, I would say it's number 2 worst substance to touch you, behind only garbage juice.
Even in my own toilet, I don't like. Even in my own, it's horrible anywhere else. You want to avoid at all costs. Backsplash is the worst feeling. That's why you got to make a nest, everybody.
I'll never make a nest. That's a promise to the listeners. I don't believe in nests. I think so much of our society has devolved into this cowardice because we're just butt pussies. We're just so nervous about any type of water touching our assholes.
Did you make a nest when using a porta potty when you're deployed?
Me?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No.
Wow. Okay. All right.
You're coward.
Firm against the nest.
Yeah. There's a reason why I have a V on one of my medals.
I always made a nest. You've got to make a nest, especially in those toilets. Oh my God. I actually preferred the wag bags because you knew you weren't going to get any kind of backsplash. Just a little kitty litter at the bottom.
I'm sorry. That might be one of the funniest things you've ever said.
Anyway, so the guy got poop jumped on him, and then they tried to figure out what to do. And I love the way that the parish counselor, I assume that's a mayor. That's why I love these little towns in England, is that they just have the cutest little titles. I don't know what this person does, but to be the parish counselor, he seems lovely.
Cute as a button. Even the way they spell counselor here is cute as a button. A little differently, a little cutely.
He said he's worked with airlines for 4 decades, and what happened was so rare that he had not seen it in a long time. And then he adds that modern toilets on planes are vacuum secured and are normally reliable as they rely on pressure suction to work. So it's a very unfortunate situation that resulted from an aircraft, because you did hear this for a long time. Like, this is the way that they did it, because they would have those poop sickles. that they would drop because it was so cold in the atmosphere that it's dropping down and becomes like an icicle, and it would land on people's houses. This sounds like it's just absolute liquefied diarrhea. Just
wait, but
Yeah,
I don't
terrible.
understand why this was ever an option because of how dangerous this is. Because obviously, yes, the chances of this hitting someone or even someone's home are probably low. But on the unfortunate chance that happens, if somebody gets severely hurt, why would you take that chance?
But it would be, I think it's because it's fun for the pilots. I honest to God think that's what it is. Like they're going all the time. They're essentially like truck drivers in the sky. They're bored. They're on the radio, breaker 19 doing all that shit that they're talking to each other. And then next thing you know, they got to find just an open field. Like, I think that that's half the fun of being a pilot is that you're flying from one place. Like, where can we put
now
the
the plane's about to take a poo.
Yeah, check this out. And you just be laughing, having a good time.
I also assume that at the speed and the height, you assume that it breaks up immediately into little pellets that like don't matter by the time they hit the ground, that they're so small it wouldn't mean a thing. But they say, this article says every year there's at least one incident of a giant frozen sewage ball hitting the ground. That's really scary. I didn't know
that is very, very scary.
Was that Joe Dirt?
Yeah. Why is it? Why don't they just empty it while it's on the ground? I don't understand that.
Not as fun. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. You know what else isn't fun? You know what else isn't fun? A lawsuit alongside killing someone. That's not fun either.
Good point. And you don't want to, that's not where you want to be when Jesus comes back, is getting hit in the face with airline poop.
No, definitely not.
You want something to happen in the skies, but that's not it.
Yeah. I'm just so surprised that this is their method for relieving this waste.
Well, if you're surprised at that,
also,
you're really going to be, go ahead, Kate.
Well, in aviation, they call it blue ice. You're about to do a blue ice because it's
sounds
a mixture
nice.
of.
I mean, that's a very nice euphemism.
Yeah, leaks occur in a plane septic tank. That's why it happens, Cons. It's an accidental leak that sometimes just happens in
I've
blue
been
ice.
there. If I had an accidental leak with blue ice, boy. All right, let's move on to round number 2. This one is the old Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar is back in the news, but this time it's because he made some case law history, which is fantastic. We always like a little case law goofing on the show. They are the first non-human creatures to be legally considered people. That's right. The hippos are considered people. The U.S. District Court of Southern District of Ohio recognized Pablo Escobar's infamous cocaine hippos as legal persons for the first time in the United States. The ruling on October 15th came after the Animal League Defense Fund filed an application on behalf of the hippo plaintiffs in Colombia and intended to change the country's government from killing the animals. They wanted, because these, if you haven't heard, Escobar's hippos were apparently fed cocaine to make them like legitimately insane, where they were the, you know how there was always these rumors that they would have moats around stuff like Game of Thrones, where you have alligators or whatever. They did this in real life, but with hippos that were given cocaine so that they would become ravenous creatures. And the Animal League Defense Fund wanted them to not be euthanized, which is probably the best thing for everybody, because it's not like, in order to buy into rehab, you have to buy in. Do you think these hippos have reached rock bottom? I don't.
Well, so it says there was more than 80 of them. They were wreaking havoc on the local ecosystem.
Can't have that. Can't have it.
So they were actually becoming a huge problem. So killing them off is probably the best option. I hate to say it.
And also, that's coming from Kate, no less.
Can I say something? I heard from friends of friends, cocaine's expensive. And hippos, that's a lot of cocaine.
And they have big noses, so they're going to require a bunch of nose beers.
How do you get a dollar bill that big?
I have no idea. You got to use 100, I would imagine.
Right, I would imagine. It's got to be
because
pretty...
bills get bigger as they get
larger.
They should.
That's a topic
really
for
should.
another day, but it should. Right. They should get bigger. Like a $5 bill, that thing should be like a business card.
Okay.
Well, so now they're talking about giving them non-surgical sterilization instead of killing them off. This is crazy though.
Why are they going to sterilize them? Like, what does that do?
So they can't continue to procreate and make the problem even worse.
Did they consume so much cocaine that it altered their DNA?
No, I think what's happening here, though.
Incredible.
No, certainly not. But I think what's happening here is this situation. I mean, how long has Pablo Escobar been dead? A long time, right?
I don't think it's been that long. I think a couple of years.
No, longer than that, right?
Is it?
Is he dead?
I think he's dead. He's very
Oh,
much
there's
dead.
oh yeah, 1993. Goddamn.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Huh.
So
Who am I thinking? Oh, I'm thinking of El Chapo.
Same. Same.
Yeah. So I just think at this
Get
point,
my drug guys,
yeah,
my cartel leaders, I'm confused, embarrassing.
I thought of one drug cartel. I thought of 1,000.
Mhm.
I just think at this point, there's just too many of them. It's not necessarily that they are cocaine
How many do we
infused
keep
at this point.
5?
I don't know. That's a question for the
If you got 3,
defense.
you don't have 1. I think you got to go at
10?
least 5 to 10 at the absolute most.
Yeah, but we don't need 80 plus.
We definitely don't need 80.
They're going to continue to procreate. So,
well, maybe we should go with NOAA rules and just have 2.
Or open up a really fun zoo down there where everyone can do cocaine.
Side note for this story,
I think that's just Colombia.
Did you guys see that another incident of microevolution has been observed?
No.
Yeah, for years, microevolution was non-observable in the animal kingdom, but now they are doing it. One way is the elephants in Africa, where the poaching is a big problem. Elephants are evolving to not have tusks. Because
so people aren't going to kill them.
And the reason why that happens is because the ones with tusks are killed out before they have babies, and the ones that don't have tusks stick around longer, and they are more likely to procreate. So then that gene gets passed on. So then you're eventually going to have what happened with the brown or the gray moth.
Whoa. That's interesting.
Interesting indeed. All right, let's move on to round number 3, which today is going to be brought to you by our good friends at BetterHelp, which is a perfect opportunity, perfect time. I wrote the blog about it on Friday, talked about it on Friday, and then we also mentioned it on Friday's pod that we had a big announcement. This is it. So I want to kind of explain how this came about. It was right after all of the awful events happened in Kabul, and all the Marines and sailor and soldier who were killed, the 13 who were killed. It was really wreaking havoc on the military community, which is, no brainer. If you listen to this podcast, you know that really affected a lot of people. But there's certain Gold Star wives that I follow of Marines that I knew who were killed in action. And I saw some of them comment like that. This was so painful for them, and it made everything feel fresh. And every time they see the images of somebody getting off the plane in Dover, and they have the honor ceremonies and things like that, it made all of their wounds feel fresh again. And I thought, it is so terrible looking at the Gold Star community that right away, as soon as somebody's killed in action, there's just an outpouring of support for this family of whenever it happens. But then years go by and that support fades away. And eventually it's just the family that's stuck in their grief alone. And that grief can be very, very difficult to deal with. And there's not a lot of outlets that were out and open about bringing in these families. Sure, they have things like at the VA for the service members if you have mental health, but what about the brothers and sisters of people who were killed in action? What about the aunt of somebody that was killed in action? Well, BetterHelp, I reached out to some of their people and some of our folks at Barstool with an idea that I thought was insane. I thought there's no shot that they sign off on this. And I said, I would like BetterHelp to offer Gold Star family members care where they can get the therapy that they would needed. And to my surprise, immediately Barstool was behind it, BetterHelp was behind it right away, and they were all about it. And then our people like Nicole, shout out to Nicole, she worked her ass off trying to get this done. She was actually on her honeymoon in Hawaii whenever the news came out that it was going to happen and that we were announcing it. So all of this stuff happened, and BetterHelp said yes. They developed a website, a landing page. If you have a Gold Star family member in your life that needs therapy, go to betterhelp.com/goldstar. They're going to have to upload a document, really any of the documents that verifies the fact that they are a Gold Star family member, which was important. And that was important to me, that we don't want people scamming the system or anything like that. We want these services for people who actually need them and want them and deserve them. So betterhelp.com/goldstar to go there. And if you are listening and you want to utilize it, like I know Kate and I have, my wife has, several of the other Barstool employees have used it as well, and everybody likes it. You can go to betterhelp.com/0 and you'll be able to get 10% off of your care as well. But just an amazing thing that BetterHelp is doing. And I was legitimately shocked that it happened, because this is something that the government should have done for a long time. And if you're a libertarian, this is a libertarian's dream. because it's something that private communities are doing instead of the federal government. I'm very excited. And to that end, I've already had several different families reach out to me and said that they were taking advantage of it and they can't wait to get started. And they got started in 48 hours, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm very,
cool.
very happy about that. That's our news there. Let's move on to round number 3. What do we got, Kate?
All right. So this is the Alec Baldwin story. So on Friday, I'm scrolling through Twitter and I had to triple take at this. I believe it was Friday. It was Alec Baldwin shooting incident on set, and like Alec Baldwin shot somebody. I'm like, what is this? And I'm sure everybody's been following the story, but unfortunately, someone lost their life and somebody was really seriously injured. So here's the latest with that. Alec Baldwin was reportedly very careful with firearms on the set of Rust prior to the accidental shooting that left cinematographer Helena Hutchins dead and director Joel Souza wounded. Reed Russell, a camera operator who was working on the film set that day, noted to detectives in a newly released affidavit that Baldwin was very careful when it came to the use of prop firearms. According to the warrant, which was obtained, I'm reading this off Fox News, it's the most recent update, Russell actually commended the 63-year-old actor for his conduct prior during a scene that involved discharging a firearm. He noted the actor observed all safety protocols and even did an extra check-in with crew to make sure no one was near him. Specifically, he made sure a child who was on set that day wasn't anywhere near him when he was firing the weapon. He was reportedly told by assistant director Dave Halls that the gun he was working with when Hutchins was shot was a cold gun, a term used when a firearm being worked with on a set is not loaded with any live ammunition. Unfortunately, obviously, that gun was in fact loaded. When Baldwin pulled the trigger while working with Souza and Hutchins to set up a shot, it went off, resulting in one of the worst on-set tragedies in recent memory. In the warrant from the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, Souza explained that he heard what sounded like a whip and then a loud pop. Then he noticed Hutchins, who was standing in front of him at the time, grab her midsection as she stumbled backward. She was assisted to the ground by other crew members, and Russell recalls Hutchins saying she could not feel her legs. The safety of the crew, the Rust Movie Productions gives a statement saying that, safety is top priority. We were not made aware of any official complaints concerning weapon or prop safety on set. We're conducting a full interview. Although police are investigating the incident, the failure appears to be with communication over whether or not the gun was loaded with a live round or not. Film and prop historian Michael Corey previously told Fox News that there are procedures in place on a movie set to ensure this kind of thing doesn't happen. I was talking with my baby daddy, Pat, who he's worked on several sets where they're firearms, like fake prop weapons. And he said they're kept under lock and key. It's just like a military armory. There's one armorer who they're in charge of everything. It gets unlocked. They bring it over. They show it's clear right now. They make the assistant director inspect it, and whoever's about to hold it, inspect it to look and, unload so clear. Then here's exactly what kind of round I'm putting in it, or here's exactly what's happening now. Does everybody see this? Okay. It's like extremely, extremely serious. And we kind of weren't sure if we wanted to cover this because there's so much hearsay, so much going on. But there's word coming out that that there was a really lax set with the prop master on this particular show. That who knows if that's true or not, but people are speaking out from the set now. Alec Baldwin could be heard afterwards saying, like, who gave me a hot gun? Was I given a hot gun? Like, what the hell? Like,
God, dude, could you imagine being him? Like, and that was one of the things that obviously the family of the woman who was killed, and she's a mother and all, like,
yeah,
awful,
terrible.
To be in that situation, but also to be Alec Baldwin and to be an actor thinking that you're just doing part of your job. And the next thing you know, you kill somebody. Like that would just weigh so unbelievably heavy. And I shouldn't be because of where we're at in the country. But even that was so politically divisive. It makes everything turns into a political issue. This should be something that everybody's like, fuck, man, what a tragedy. And instead it was almost like there are certain members of Congress who were like gloating about it because it happened to Alec Baldwin. Like,
people couldn't wait to pull up his old
fucking
tweets.
Ridiculous, man.
People couldn't wait to pull up his old tweets about gun control and gun violence and what have you. And I agree with you, chaps. The first and really only reaction should be this is just such a tragedy. And again, none of us were there on set. I would just have a few questions. Number one, at large, why, with all of the CGI and technology that we have now, why would you even need live rounds? I feel like you could make a dummy weapon, a plastic weapon, look real with all the
Star Wars is
technology.
successful.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. We don't have those weapons in real life. And then my other question is, why, obviously, she was shot very tragically. And this comes from, I think, our background, but even with a fake weapon, why anyone would ever be at the other end of that barrel, in no matter how close or how far away, there should never have been anyone.
Well, from what I heard, that they were trying to get the shot, which I do understand. Like we were like in the content business. If you are going to be the one that is the cinematographer director, like she wants to make sure that the camera angle gets the most dramatic shot, which is so common. I mean, think about all the different war movies that you've seen. There's a reason why the bullet scene and what is it, Saving Private Ryan, where he has a sniper and it goes straight up into the gun. Somebody's behind that camera pushing it on an Aaron Sorkin style track to get it right there. You want to make sure the shot, that's the job. Ultimately, and even putting it the responsibility on the actors and things like that, these people aren't fucking weapons expert.
No.
Alec Baldwin's not a weapon expert. To expect him to know and to go up and do a functions check and all that shit, it's unrealistic. That's why you have to rely on the subject matter experts who are there. Everybody has a firearm instructor that's on set and doing these types of things. It's just a tragedy. I am wondering if this will now make big changes, because there was changes that happened after Bruce Lee's son Brandon was killed on the set of The Crow. Whenever that happened, they made huge changes in the way they do it. I don't understand why you wouldn't have a BFA like the military does on the end of your weapon. Paint that motherfucker green.
Right.
It's easy to get rid of. Just put another tip on it. It won't take that long to do it. Everybody has that in the budget. Like, just do that. Just do that.
For the folks that don't know BFA.
It's a blank firing adapter, and it goes on the end of it goes on the end of the weapon. The military uses these primarily. Law enforcement do as well, because it gives you a very clear indicator that this weapon is not going to be equipped with live rounds. And just in case it is, if a round goes off with the BFA on the end, the BFA explodes and takes the impact of the weapon, where the damage is going to be far less. Now, there is BFAs in prop weapons, but it's a lot smaller, and it happens on the inside of the barrel. The inside of the barrel is just taken to be smaller, but that can cause an explosion, and they're not as reliable as a BFA that we would use in the military, just because they're designed to be incognito. And anything that is designed where you won't have the same level of visibility, like a suppressor, a smaller suppressor is not going to absorb the sound as much as a larger one would, because you just have a larger one. Same thing with the BFA.
Yeah, it just feels very avoidable. All of this feels very avoidable.
One other aspect with this is, when you're shooting a film, especially, this was like an indie project, this is a smaller scale project, and so much fundraising has to be done for people to back the film, whatever, and time is money. You only have a certain amount of time that you have to get these shots in. Every day matters so much, and so you can't be caught up. So a lot of things gets really, really rushed, and there's a ton of pressure on the assistant director, on whoever.
Baldwin was saying that they were working 14, 15 hours a day, 6-7 days a week.
And there had also been trouble with unions and people walking off set and blah, blah, blah. And so who knows there was a lot of things changing hands. It sounds like there's all this scuttlebutt coming out that there's a lot of like drama happening on and around the set, and people were already complaining about safety. So you have a long day, people rushing to get things done, and who knows, but I mean, just absolutely crazy that this happened. It's really sad. And people were saying there should never be live rounds on a set anyway.
Right. So, to me, that even having them there, what could you possibly need?
Yeah.
Actual live rounds for?
Yeah.
Helena
Hutchins, I was looking at her work over the weekend, and they said she was a rising star, and lots of images of stills from her work, which looked just absolutely incredible, and leaves behind a husband and a young son. And it just, so it's so sad. It's crazy. So
yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from this is, hopefully this calls for, and we see some sweeping changes across Hollywood and movie and television making, changes that something like this could never happen again. I think that's where, it's clearly there are safety measures in place, But if something like this can still happen, then it's not enough. So there has to be.
I think that this very much identifies a deficiency, and they have to come up with a corrective action so this type of thing doesn't happen. And that is one good thing about Hollywood, is that they have so many unions who are just about like the safety of their people and things like that. They'll get this in contracts where they'll get it right. And I think that this type of thing, while a tragedy, and it should never happen, obviously, but I think that there'll be big changes that happen in the way that movies are shot, which is exactly what we need to. All right, let's move on to round number 4. And even though it might be a little tasteless to do it straight after this one, probably is, there was a story that took place in Yuma, Arizona, and it caught the military world by storm. And one reason why is I think this Marine handled it absolutely beautiful in the interviews after. It was incredible. Here he is on a local news channel giving a small interview about what happened.
He is a Marine who fought off a group of armed robbers in Arizona. He joins me now. It is James Kilser. It's great to have you. So I saw this video popping up on Twitter over and over again yesterday, and I couldn't stop watching it. Tell me what happened as we show folks at home.
Well, I mean, I was standing there against the counter talking with Everett, the clerk. I'm there pretty regularly, so I knew him fairly well, and we were talking about how we needed to not be a gas station clerk anymore. We needed to come work out with me over at the proving grounds, and so then I turn around to go leave, kind of walk out, and as I'm turning around, I hear the door kind of open real aggressively. And, well, at that point, the spidey senses kind of tingled a little bit. And I looked over and saw one person with a gun, and they started yelling, "Open the register," and kind of did a quick sweep. Saw 2 other guys without no other weapons, and decided that's the guy I'm going to hit.
And what's in the bag? I mean, you grabbed the gun, which I think is obviously brave, and it's part of your training, I know, as a Marine. But what was in the bag?
I'm sorry?
What was in the bag that you hit him with?
2 Gatorades, 2 energy drinks, and a snack. And I didn't even know the bag was. I didn't know the bag was still attached to my body at that point. Completely unaware, as I was actually going to take control of his head and the gun at the same time, and the bag just happened to be heavy and attached to me, and it smashed him right in the face.
What did your friend Everett say?
Well, he ended up jumping over the counter and chasing to see where the other guys went around the corner when they run out. But I mean, he was a little worked up about it, but definitely an exciting start to the day. Well, for him, the end of the day, he's the night guy.
Wow, I mean, he's got to be very glad that you are one of the regular customers and that you were there at the time. Maybe just a word about your military service and the training that you have that will serve you well and the rest of us for the rest of your life.
Well, the military training, I mean, there was a quote going around about, it's a little misleading. That's kind of 2 things I said put together, but the military training, it helped a little bit with the muscle memory, but I mean, most of it was just being prepared. I take my personal safety and the safeties of others around me pretty seriously on a regular basis. So just being in the right mindset of, if this happens, I'll be there. And once they happened, I was mentally prepared, and
well, so glad that you were.
What had to be done.
We wish that you had been on that Philadelphia train. We're great to meet you, and if anybody sees James out there, buy him either an energy drink, I think it was Monster was your preferred, or a beer if you want one. Thanks so much,
I'll
James.
Take a beer, please.
Beer. Get him a beer, everybody, and I'd love to buy you one as well on me in Yuma, Arizona. Thank you so much, James.
So I'm sure that you've heard this story. It's been viewed millions of times on the internet by now, on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all those places. I love this dude because when he was interviewed by one outlet, I don't remember which one it was, he said, "Look, I'm no I'm no Navy SEAL. I'm no Ranger. I'm no recon guy. I'm a pogue. I'm like the poguest of the pogue. I worked on aircraft. I did that type of thing. I had no idea. I'm not experienced hand to hand. I just saw a moment and reacted. And that's the way. And luckily it worked out for me. And I think that that's a very good point, because we have these, and we joke about, I wish a motherfucker would.
I wish
moment.
a motherfucker would moment. Yeah.
But this dude, like, something goes wrong and you go reach for that weapon, you're shot and you're dead. Like, that's just the way it goes.
Could have very easily gone the other way, especially with a young kid who, I mean,
with multiple other people there too.
But you can see though, it wasn't like he thought about that. It was an immediate reaction. The kid walks into the store, points the weapon at him, and immediately he looks, you can see it register, and in 0.2 seconds later, bam, he's going after the kid. So you're right.
It was almost like that old baseball adage of don't just throw. Like, you saw something were coming down the plate and you grabbed it, and then he went after it and then held the dude until the cops came and they took him away. Sad part about this story, overall sad story anyways, when people resort to that type of thing. Kid was 14. The kid with the gun, the guy with the gun was 14.
Oh wow, I didn't
old.
know that. I didn't know that at all. So here, well, even before you said that, this is what I was going to say too. I think if you took 100 people and say, what would you do in this situation? All 100 would say
Mark
they did
Wahlberg
exactly.
would say,
they would all say, I would do this. I think only about, I think 99 of them would have just frozen, and only one, this kid does it. But then on the other side, when you're going into a store with a weapon, and especially if you're 14, you don't expect anyone to grab for it either. So you're also put in a position where you don't know how to act. Obviously, that's when crazier things can happen. The weapon goes off, somebody gets hurt. But I think this kid, he was not expecting that to happen. I wonder, did it say anywhere in the interview, did he assess like, this is a kid and I'm bigger than him in
his
stature?
His face was kind of covered up, and I think that you just see the gun and you react there.
Yeah.
But I think that what the guy did was great, and being able to safely disarm somebody where they're not going to do any damage. And also you change the charge for that kid from aggravated robbery to attempted aggravated robbery, which is far less of a crime than the time that he's going to spend in juvenile for that.
And maybe he gets a second chance here. Maybe this is what he needed.
The Marine Kickler, is it Kicler?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Kickler. He's had an awesome sense of humor. I think on the one interview, he was kind of hitting on the news anchor lady a little bit. Another, I love that he's talking about being a
and
pogue,
he's sitting back with his long beard, just like very classic. This is a dude that you're going to see at the VFW pounding a fucking nickel PBR.
Yeah. He's an absolute delight, and everybody's been having, it's kind of out of a terrible situation. He's kind of been a bright spot in it. So it's been fun to see. And
I also like that in one of the interviews, he was talking about like, I hang out there all the time. Like, which is an indictment on Yuma, Arizona. Like, he's like, the guy that works at the gas station, he's one of my best buds. Like, we hang out, we talk all the time. I'll go in there to get a drink, and I'll end up staying 45 minutes just chatting it up.
Well, he also hit the assailant with a bag of drinks. It was one of his weapons, was probably
weapon of opportunity.
He used a weapon of opportunity. So we had to note that too.
See, I think that when stories like this, because I'm pretty sure this guy got out of the Marine Corps as a Lance Corporal. I feel like the commandant in stories like this, or whoever's in charge of each individual branch, if one of your former people does this and it's good news and they do something that's, give them like, not posthumous, obviously, but give them like an after they get out promotion, like, and be like, all of your stuff now that was Lance Corporal before, we're going to put in the system as corporal. We're just going to promote you. Like, have like a after service, you're doing good shit promotion. And that really, it really perpetuates the idea of being a lifelong soldier or airman or Marine or sailor or something like that. You're just going to get promoted. You're doing good shit. You get promoted.
What if, because we can still wear our dress blues after you get out. So I say I go to a Marine Corps ball 10 years from now, I can still wear my blues. Yep. What if you get a rack on the other side for cool shit you do in the civilian world?
Oh yeah.
Like
post-service stuff. And just make but instead of like the normal colors of the ribbons, everything is almost like Rainbow Bright, where you go to Gloomtown, and everything, all the ones that you get after are gray. So if you're wearing sergeant chevrons and they're gray, that's because you got promoted to sergeant whenever you got out.
And like the equivalent to a car is the wish a motherfucker would ribbon. Where you're like, wow. Yeah. Something to think about.
Love
Is
that.
that the WAMF? The WAMF?
Yeah, the old WAMF.
The old
You
WAMF?
also get a ribbon if your marriage has lasted more than 10 years.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. You get a good cookie, like a civilian good cookie, if you've never called anyone a cunt online.
Oh, that's gonna be tough to prove, Kate. There's a lot of
It's gonna be tough to prove.
the committee to go there. I mean, we can't even get Arwen Cash's fucking Medal of Honor on time. They're not gonna be able to investigate each one of these things.
Yeah,
that's true. All right, I'll let it go.
All right, let's move on to round number 4, where the Marine Corps is not letting some things go, like not getting the COVID vaccine. The USMC, this comes from Jeff at Task and Purpose. He says that it stands for you signed the motherfucking contract, which is exactly true. You did. It is a peacetime service, so you did this to yourselves. Active duty Marines have to be vaccinated by November 28th. I want to talk to them about where they come up with these dates. Like, why not just go December 1st? Like, why November 28th is the day? Where did you come up with that day? I want to know why you have
the
that
day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, like, or one of
no,
like,
it's
right
a
after.
Sunday after. It's a Sunday after, I think.
But they have to be complete. Reserve units must be completely immunized by December 28th, according to a new MAR admin. They are going to have all different types of promotion or consequences if you don't do it. Marines refusing the COVID vaccination, absent of an approved administrative or medical exemption. So if you don't have a waiver, essentially, there's going to be administrative action taken from you. And they will say that you are willingly disobeying a lawful order from a superior commissioned officer, which is true because the commandant said, fucking do it. And so did the Secretary of Defense. He said to do it. So any of the Marines that don't have any of this stuff, and I think this might be the biggest, like, get people that don't want to do it, you're not allowed to deploy or do any training. That type of thing, even though it sounds weird to civilians, I think if you get told while you're on that you're not allowed to go on a mission, that hurts. Like, as somebody that's on active duty, you don't want to be in the rear with the gear. You want to be going.
You have FOMO, and the longer that goes on for, the more of an outcast you are within your unit, pretty much. I also heard those who don't get it, they're going to have to be the DDs for the Marine Corps ball, and nobody wants that job.
No, that is probably true. You're absolutely probably right that they have to do working parties there, which would be awesome to make them do any of that stuff. But they also updated the numbers of people that it's getting higher. Like 83% of all active duty Marines have been vaccinated. That's pretty good.
And 92% partially. So most people just need that second shot of the remaining. So, only 47% of reserve Marines.
Nasty reservists. But I have heard that some of those where it looks worse on the reserve is because they don't have reporting, because they haven't gone to like a drill in 2 months. Because some of the drill units still aren't doing anything, like, because of COVID concerns. They're just meeting virtually. That shit would suck. We haven't talked about that enough. Like, doing all of your military training via Zoom would be awful.
Oh my God, that would be so miserable.
Awful, because you can't even skip out on it. Like, you have to be sitting there. I'm sure you have to have your camera on or something. Be terrible. I'd just be listening to podcasts, I think.
Yeah, you'd have to put clip your headphones into something else and make it seem like you're paying attention. That's the only way you'd get through it.
Yeah. So they say that they're going to kick them out. They won't let you go training. They won't let you re-enlist. And this is the big kicker, the Navy is doing it too. If you refuse to get the vaccination and they separate you, you're not going to get the involuntary separation pay, which is good money. Like, if you get normally paid it, you get good money there. If you have any incentive pay or advanced educational assistance, you have to pay all that back. And if you got any type of re-enlistment bonus or enlistment bonus, you have to pay that money back too.
Yeah.
Not great.
So if you're looking at somebody that got a big chunk of change, like, let's say you're a special operator who got like an $80,000 re-enlistment bonus, and they're like, no, cool. You don't have to get the vaccination, but you're paying us that 80 grand back.
Yeah. I mean, let's remember, this is an all volunteer force. It's not like they were forced to join and now saying, hey, you're forced to do this. You don't have to take it. That's fine. You just got to leave. And
I need to talk to the Catholics about their chain of command too. I don't understand. I don't understand how a local cardinal, like the cardinal that's the military cardinal, can essentially outweigh what the Pope said.
I don't know either. I don't know.
Like, the Pope was like, no, the vaccine's fine. There's no religious objections to it at all. And then this guy's like, actually, Like the Pope should be like, "Oh, bitch, you're in jail."
Yeah.
I mean, he should get called.
Firewatch.
He should get called to the carpet. He should get called to the Vatican.
Have him 6 and centered on the Pope's desk at the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to mess around with the Pope Sergeant Major either. I got it. Our
no,
lady.
forget it.
I don't
Thank you.
Yeah, it could be Sergeant Major lady.
The
Not
other
in the
people,
Catholic
Is that
Church.
like what the? Would you say that the Catholic Church is set up where the priests are the officers and the nuns are the enlisted?
No.
Because they have to. They go with commander's intent of what the priest wants to do. The priests
at their
establish the
parish.
training. They change everything, and they are in charge of implementing all the different missions that the
nuns
priest
do a
has.
lot. They do a lot of working parties. They do.
The nuns were our teachers, not the priests. So
Something
makes
to think
sense.
about.
Well,
They also do the discipline, at least back in the day in the Catholic schools. They were they were like the crusty gunnies that you didn't want to encounter. So
and
Dude,
you
I
didn't want to
remember-
go to a tree line with a nun. I guarantee you that.
Oh my goodness! One time in 4th grade, Sister Ann, I think her name was, she was fierce, dude. She didn't take any shit from anybody, and we had those desks that had the little like cubby underneath the seat, right?
Mhm.
So you had to like keep your shit neat. And this one kid
Shit
in
bomb
my
icon.
class, yeah, sorry about that. You had to keep your stuff squared away, and this one kid just wouldn't. Kids are messy for whatever reason. Some kids are messy, some kids are neat, whatever. Finally, I don't know, she was having a bad day or whatever. She came over, she grabbed the kid by the shirt, threw him out of the seat, and flipped the desk so everything fell out. And she said, "Clean it up."
she went full Teresa Judice of the.
Well, you know who else who flipped the table?
Oh,
Jesus.
Jesus.
yeah, Jesus did flip that table.
Mhm.
She went full Jesus on his ass. Minus the love part.
Really did. I saw this interview with nuns because they were talking. There was this interview where they were asking different members of the clergy if they were hoping that eventually the rule on celibacy would change inside the church, where priests and nuns didn't have to be celibate anymore. And the nun was like, sure, either way, it's fine with me. She's like, if you look around all the nuns that I live with, it's not exactly like we were the coolest ladies on the block anyways. It's not like we were swimming in dates before we became nuns.
Aw.
That is a good point.
It's cute. All right, let's move on to round number 5. This one comes to us from a horny king in Spain.
Not a nun.
A former police chief has claimed that Spain's disgraced and exiled king Juan Carlos was injected with female hormones from a Spanish horse because his sex drive was
Spanish
so high.
secret.
No, it's from a horse. It's from a horse. Look it up.
But he
It's
was
not in this.
injected.
It's
But
not
I'm
in this article, Kate, but
But
this
I'm
is.
saying he was injected with female hormones by the Spanish Secret Service. I thought you were saying a horse injected him.
No, it was horse hormones that was injected.
Woman,
into
horse,
him.
female horse hormones. The Spanish Secret Service injected him with it. Okay.
Mhm. And don't be confused. We're saying hormones, not like the hormones. Is
So,
not what we're talking about.
The
with this
Spanish
horse.
Secret Service injected the king Juan Carlos with horse hormones because
Mhm.
his sex drive was so high, he was seen as a danger to the state. So they injected him to kill his horniness.
Yeah. So
Am
the
I
former
getting that
police
right?
commissioner is on trial for blackmail and corruption and made the allegation in a parliamentary hearing. That is a bombastic allegation. If you want to start like say no, not this little sleight of hand action, like, oh, you think I'm bad? This guy's so horny he had to get injected with horse hormones. Like people are like, whoa, they forget what you're even on trial for. A little corruption. Who cares? If the king is that horny, they go on to say 5,000 women he claimed to have sex with while he's been the king. I feel like that's just what kings do. Like if you're a king or a queen, you're getting laid all the
Yeah, but
time.
aren't you supposed to just be faithful to your queen?
I mean, that's not what King Solomon did. And one could argue that he would, there's been a lot of Bible references on this show. So that's not what King Solomon did. He had 5,000 concubines.
Yeah, but that was back in the day. I'm talking about present day kings.
I think President King still got, there's not that many. How many kings do you think there are in the world right now? I'd
20?
say 15.
I was going to say 20.
Can you look that up, Nick? See how many kings there are in the world right now? But this guy, so horny. He has also been with several ladies, including Princess Diana is one of the ones that he's with.
Oh, and this is all coming out. So Jose Villarejo, he's the former police commissioner, and he's on trial right now for blackmail and corruption. And so everybody, the whole country is like waiting for this guy to spill all sorts of tea. And one of those things is that the National Intelligence Center injected the hormones to control that king's libido, and that they took everything away from him. He couldn't be with a woman or anything. So apparently it's true, according to him, and it worked. Like the female horse hormones killed his entire sex drive. He learned about what they did to Juan Carlos from Corinna Larson, another former lover of the king of Juan Carlos. So I'm interested to see, like, is this really true or not? But people cannot wait for him to spill more tea.
This could really go both ways. I understand you don't want him sleeping with a lot of women because he could be giving out state secrets, but also he could be getting a lot of secrets.
But I also don't think the kings know. I think all these kings, except for maybe like the king in Saudi Arabia, I think most of these kings are just titles now. Like they don't actually control shit. Like if Queen Elizabeth came down and was like, oh, we're going to bomb somebody, they'd be like, shut the fuck up, you old bird. Like, no, we're not. Like, just go back in your house and be rich and eat your fucking crumpets. Like that. They wouldn't listen to what she has to say. But I'm not one to normally tout like notches on the belt or on the old bedpost. But if you're going to have a notch, Princess Di might be, for somebody that's in their 80s, might be the best notch you could possibly have. Yeah. There's no one else more impressive that you would have had sex with than Princess Di. I would say in the last 60 years. The only other one that would be close would probably be Marilyn Monroe. But Marilyn Monroe and Princess Di are 1-2.
Yeah. I'm thinking, well, maybe, I don't know if this.
I'm looking at a photo. Maybe Condoleezza Rice.
I was gonna say, do you throw Madonna in that mix? I feel like Madonna was on that level.
I think so, but I understand where you're going, but it doesn't seem special. It's Madonna because she hasn't exactly. She's basically like the king.
Yeah.
So this is saying he tried his luck with Diana. Like he gave it.
Oh no, I've seen pictures of him performing cunnilingus. Which.
What?
Not really.
Not with her.
No.
There's 29 considered.
29
either king or queen. So and 18 of which are kings.
Okay, so 29 monarchies.
29 monarchies and there's 18 kings from what I'm reading.
Let's see. Okay. Do you have the list? I want to see if we can come up with, just off the top of our heads. Let's see what do you think before we start on monarchies? I bet we can list 10 of the 29.
I don't know, dude.
What do you think, Kate?
None of them. I was about to tell you guys, in one 6-month period, he banged 62 lovers.
Hell yeah. Love that. All right.
Like
so
really good extended.
We got Spain, obviously, number one.
Yeah.
Portugal is one as well. Monaco, Saudi Arabia. You have Jordan would be one.
Qatar.
Yes, Qatar would be one too. I'm not sure still if Japan technically has an emperor or if they've moved just completely to prime minister.
Yeah.
Emperor, yeah. In Japan.
Okay, so they have an emperor, so that's 7. Let's see. So
I'm telling you, there's got to be a bunch in Africa.
There's one. Norway.
Really?
Either Norway or Sweden, one of those two.
I was gonna say
Norway. No. Norway is correct.
Okay.
Sweden is also correct.
I was gonna say Sweden.
Okay.
Wait, what about Switzerland? Probably not.
I'm not sure. Switzerland.
Nope, not Switzerland, but
Denmark.
there's a Swaziland.
Denmark. Yes, I think Denmark is one.
Mm-hmm.
Swaziland, is that in Africa?
Correct. Denmark.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Sudan. There's another one.
I said
too.
Sudan.
Oh, did you? We got 2. Nailed it.
I said Sudan.
Cons, you have something in common with him. He had, nothing in common with him. He had 332 sexual relationships while he was at the military academy. 332. Imagine though, you're at the military academy. Imagine you had sex with 332 people there. That's like everyone.
It's kind of like going to a party with him after he goes to that military academy. It would be like when Jim and Karen went to the dinner party at David Wallace's house, and Karen is like, oh yeah, I went on a few dates with him. Like he's basically fucked everybody at the military academy. 300. How many can possibly be at Spain's military academy?
Probably not that many.
I don't
Probably
think. I
not.
mean, because you guys have like a 500 graduating class, right? I can't
It's-
imagine Spain's is bigger than West Point's.
Yeah, no, it's like usually I think it's around 20% of the total population.
Yeah.
That's awkward news.
it's
If
like
you were at the
200 a
military
class.
academy when he was there, like if I have been like, well, I
Well,
guess
it'd be like
everyone
being one of the people that's in Prince William or Prince Harry's unit. Like that's got to be bizarre. Like because Prince Harry was the helicopter pilot. Imagine being his crew chief and being like, "Hey, sir, you're fucking Mr. Prince or whatever the fuck I'm supposed to call you. Your helicopter's all jacked up."
He was
Mm.
married too, by the way. Men are pigs, just so you know.
Oh, you're telling me if you weren't the king of Spain or the queen of Spain that you'd be getting a little side cooch, Kate? Come on.
I mean, I probably would. Yeah.
Everybody would. I mean, when you're the king, well, really, what's the point of being the king if you're not getting
He
a little
apparently had a
stretch on
ton
the
of
side?
kids too.
Oh, that
No,
goes without
you don't say.
Yeah. You don't
So-
inject somebody with horse semen because they aren't having kids.
How
I
on
guess it
earth
wouldn't be
could that?
semen.
How
would be
on earth could that
schmagma.
possibly work? I guess. I guess hormones. He's like, why am I growing horse boobs all of a sudden?
Well, the last thing I did a little research to see if I could find. I actually found the king on Twitter, and you can find him too. His name is Juan Carlos at 514LM. He
That's
tweeted out.
him.
He only has one tweet, and it just says "am horny." So we know for sure that it's him
Yeah.
because he is very horny.
There you
And
go.
that about wraps up the old show today. So let's move on to some save rounds and alibis. Nick, we'll start with you.
My save round is, so we were talking about earlier about, I guess, like nuns. So, and like, you know, like priests and whatever. Well, I went to a Catholic high school, and their main thing they would do is if you fell asleep at your desk, he would just shave, one of the priests would shave chalk. And like, so when you woke up, you just had just literally an
I
entire
like
shaved
that
chalk
move.
like all over your
Mhm.
head. Rulers, slaps, everything down the line. So they were absolutely vicious.
So all of the different like stereotypes, they definitely were doing that.
100%. I was in Catholic school my entire life, so up until college. So brutal people. They're very stern. So for sure, I agree with everything that was said. They're not to be messed with.
There you go. Enlisted people are done. Gotta love it. All right, Kate,
True.
what about you?
And that's the thing about Bye Bye Babies bathrooms. You know, it's that they're dirty.
Mhm,
There's no space for the stroller.
mhm,
Quite frankly, I will never financially recover from this. I will always be upset about it. I
mhm.
did not buy what I went there to buy. Zoo, if you're a zoo who listens to this show,
Yeah.
if you're a baby store who listens to this show,
Mhm.
watch out. I'm fucking coming for you. And I'm going to go take a shit in your bathroom and I'm going
Mhm.
to tell you what I thought about it.
An absolute growler too, not like some little dinky deer shit.
Now I'm
we're
going to turn
talking-
that bowl into a cement mixer, my friend.
Yeah, where they would be like, "Oh, we need that shit on the set of Jurassic Park stat."
Yeah. So that's that.
All right, cons.
Yeah. Hey, Kate, speaking of zoos, when you were at Fordham, did you ever go to the zoo on Wednesday when it was free to Fordham students?
No, but I did go all the time. I went
Oh.
to the zoo and to the botanical gardens across the street and Little Italy. People don't realize the Bronx is
Oh, the food up there is
fucking
unbelievable.
treat, man.
It's
Yep.
unbelievable.
Nice little triangle of stuff there.
Yes, yes. I was just thinking about this the other day. You know, there's been extensive talk in my household about the dog we would like to get and when we will get a dog eventually. But whenever that does come to fruition, and Chaps, you can earmuff it for me if you want. You don't have to. I'm just gonna steal Chaps for like 2 weeks and make him come live with me in my guest room for 2 weeks and just train him to like a 2-week boot camp session and then send Chaps on his way. I hope he realizes that.
I had a
That's
great
great.
time with Baby Dale Woo this weekend because I found he hates getting his nails done. So I found
Yeah.
this little hammock thing that in our laundry room, we have a big clothing rack, and I just put Baby Dale on that.
It's so
And
I
he
saw that.
He couldn't move his legs. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
but so I saw that. Like, what was the purpose of that harness to begin with? Was it for a dog?
To immobilize.
No,
to
it's for
immobilize them,
yeah,
right?
it was designed for that purpose. It works
Oh.
fantastic. And even
I'm
for
gonna put my
cats, it
baby in
works.
there. His
Yeah,
nails are
you
tough
could.
to clip.
Mhm.
All right, that's all I got. Except also, Chaps, you said to remind you about a huge announcement that was not the
Oh.
BetterHelp announcement.
Yes, I have an announcement. I am officially turning in my bath guy card. I've changed
Whoa.
over to a shower guy.
Wait,
Over the-
why?
Over the
Mhm,
past
mhm,
3 or
mhm.
4 days, I've taken like 2 showers, and I think it's because I replaced the head in our master shower. It's just so nice now. And I have this soap that smells like smoky birch. It's wonderful. I go in there. I texted Feidelberg last night. This might be shocking, and I don't think people are going to believe it, but I swear to God, it's 1,000% true. I moved into this house on March 5th. This weekend on Friday was the first shower I had in this house.
I believe that.
Every other time was bad.
I believe that. You're a weirdo like that. I believe that.
There's so much work. What?
My wife comes in and I like started the shower and she's like, well, what are you doing? She's like, I don't need to take a shower. What are you doing? I was like, I'm about to take a shower. She's like, an actual shower? Really?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I am.
We have a bathtub and I shower before I get into it sometimes. I don't just get into the tub. You're sitting in your own filth, your own
I don't
butt.
mind that. I don't mind that at all.
Okay.
I don't know why it just doesn't bother me. I know it probably should, and I understand the argument where it is kind of gross, but also I have dry skin, and it like the showers have always just, Kate, don't, because now you're going to be thinking about your dad in the hot tub and all that. And like, and we don't want to go back down.
Oh, no.
That.
Dry skin floating on the top. Yeah.
Ugh.
I have a little filter action going. My save round. I'm very excited for my beloved Roadrunners. We've stretched it out to 8-0. I just put out my first I never thought when I got hired here that we'd have UTSA gear in the shop, but I dropped the sweatshirt. If you want to support the Meep game, it's just the outline of Texas with the word Meep on it. Go get that. I would appreciate that. My children are starving. That would be lovely to do. It's been a good time. I've had a joyous occasion, and I'm in a mental place where I am absolutely a wreck because my worst nightmare sports-wise have come true with both the Houston Astros and the Atlanta Braves making the World Series. It will really see where I was telling them on Podfathers that if I didn't have social media and I didn't blog about it and do all that stuff before it, I don't think there's any shot I would be cheering on the Astros.
Not at all.
The only way that it's going to switch if McCartney watches the games with me, because McCartney does like the Astros. If McCartney is cheering on the Astros heavily, that will influence my decision to cheer for the Astros. Other than that, the heart wants what it wants.
So I think it'll be similar to what happened with John when the Bucks played the Patriots and he wasn't sure how he was going to root. And then he just said, I'm going to leave it up to however I feel. And he just felt right cheering for the Patriots. I think it'll be the same thing with you. You won't know until that first pitch is thrown how you're going to root.
It's going to be interesting. Maybe I'll go live just to see how, like, until the first big thing happens.
Yeah.
But it could end up being like, I just want both teams to have fun. Like,
have a good time.
I'm sure the
everybody gets
Barstool crowd would love that. They love it when people aren't like diehards.
No.
Yeah.
They do.
That's the big thing that they love. All right. We'll be back on Friday with another episode. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you then. It's on the retreat.